Welcome, welcome everybody to Epic Conversation number 5 of the year.
Uh,
I'm here with Kim Auker. Welcome, Kim.
Hi, thank you. So glad to
Yeah,
be here.
I'm so excited to have you. Um, I have been so enjoying your content and I've enjoyed the conversations that we have had. Kim is also a coach and I met her through the coaching program that I'm in, and so it's been such a joy to process the same uh, kind of things together as
Hmm.
we both grow
Yeah.
in in ourselves and in our businesses. So Kim, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and what work you do?
All right. Thank you. So first of all, thank you so much, Heather, for having me here. I enjoy your epicness and how you challenge people to think bigger. And so I was super happy to come and talk to you and have a conversation with you.
Oh,
Um, And about me, I am a coach. So I'm a certified parent coach, and I have done parent coaching and continue to do parent coaching. But then in the last part of last year, I started supporting parent coaches. So
mhm.
now I kind of see myself as like a cheerleader and a champion for parent coaches, but really any coaches who are supporting families, supporting
Mhm.
parents in whatever way, health, relationships, parenting. And so I help them to really create their business from
Mhm.
a place of love and authenticity so that they feel good about reaching out to people, and feel just balanced and aligned in their work.
Yeah, my favorite videos of you are ones where your kids pop in, right? Because like
Yep.
that's my life too, right? And
Yeah.
I love watching you roll with it because I don't. I say the video's ruined, right? So that has just been such an inspiration to me to just roll with it more and more, right?
Yeah.
And not have like my own judgment about, right, it being a good or
Yeah.
bad thing. Like it's another beautiful human in the
Hmm.
picture.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm interested in your story a bit, right? So I ask all coaches like how you got into inner work, right? Because we all
Mm.
go on this amazing, right? But sometimes rough inner work journey on our own before we come, right?
Mm.
Into our own
Yeah.
being coaches.
Hmm.
And so I'm interested in how you got started with that and how you've seen it help like evolve your life.
Yeah. So this is a really cool question because it has me like reflect back on my life.
Mhm.
Um, so really I would say like I've been into doing inner work even since I was a child because I was raised in a really religious family,
Mm.
and like we were Christian. My dad is a preacher, my grandpa is a preacher, and so I was very serious about like creating who I am as
Mhm.
a devout religious person, even as a child. And then things shifted and I had my rebellious period in
Mhm.
teenage years, but in my late teens, I started to really think for myself more, like coming away from religion. And so I was like just wondering where to land. So I did a lot of research, or not research really, but just reading and contemplation on other religions. And then also, like in that time, I took a year of philosophy with like an incredible, like he was like a new enthusiastic teacher, and that was like
Mhm.
amazing, and I loved it. But I never really saw it as something to make a career out of.
Mhm.
So I kind of went on with like science. Um, and that kind of like that personal development growth was still there, but it kind of was put to the side.
Yeah.
And then so I did science and that stuff, and then I stopped working altogether, and I was a mom, stay-at-home
Mhm.
mom for several years. And during that period, my growth was really all about like, how can I be the best mother for my children? And learning about emotions was kind of where it started. I realized like I don't know how to emotionally regulate. And so
Mhm.
like then I went on the journey of learning how to do that. And then from there it was like, oh, I can help other people do this. I can be a coach. Oh, coaching means like more inner work. Oh wow, this is so cool. Like I can actually have a job where I am focused on my own inner growth and support other people through theirs. And it's like, it's so valuable to the whole world. So yeah, that's my journey.
Yeah, I just in the last couple years was like, what am I gonna do? My kids are getting older. I want to work. I want to have my own, life, that part of my life that's just for me, that impacts the world. And coaching is what I pinpointed as the most, it's like where I can be closest to the direct impact, right, on somebody's
Mhm.
life,
Yeah.
right? Let's like get down to the root of who you are, right? And
Mhm.
expand it. And
Yeah.
so yes, I'm right there with you. Like what an amazing job we have.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm interested in what would you say has been the most impactful like learning or piece of wisdom, right? Where you feel like it really opened up the world for you.
Yeah. It's a hard question to answer. Um, there's kind of two, I think, pivotal moments in my
Mhm.
own personal growth. One was in my teenage years when I realized um, that people are not born bad. Because,
Wow.
like, as being raised as a
Yes.
Christian, like, maybe they don't say it directly, but that's definitely
Yes.
how, that's the meaning that I made of it. It's like, I was
Yeah.
born terrible and I need something outside of me to make me good. And that felt awful. And then I realized, like, not everybody thinks like that. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, wow, like, it was such a relief to
Uh-huh.
see that, like, I can actually be innately like a light into the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So that was one pivotal moment, or
Mhm.
learning. And then I think the other is probably just learning how to love myself, I think.
Mm.
And that really has been more recent,
Yeah.
really seeing how I shamed myself and was
Mhm.
disappointed in myself. You know, like, it was unconscious for a long time. So
Yeah.
learning really how to love myself. And that also came with like the emotional regulation, like, because when you don't love your emotions, like, it's really hard to regulate your emotions. So part of being able to regulate your emotions is really learning to love and accept, like, what your body's doing and that it's natural. So yeah.
Yeah. So pivotal, both of those learnings. And I can see how both of them have contributed to you being such a loving person. I mean,
Mm,
definitely the self-love part, but even the believing that everybody is good or at least neutral, which is what I think, right? Like we're just kind of
yeah,
here,
yeah, yeah,
right? And then we have
yeah.
choices about what to do about our here-ness. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so my February, you led right into it, like you're a pro, right?
Yeah.
Like this is why I guess my February topic is love.
Mhm.
And there's so many facets of love that we could talk about. But self-love is by far my favorite. Like you said before, it's where it all starts for me.
Mhm.
Um, when in the conversation about love, because it's the big learning for me is that it was all the same, right? The love that I have for myself, the capacity that I have to love myself
Yeah.
is the same
Yeah.
capacity that I have to love others,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that gets into creating the world, right? Which we could also talk about because you and I both have had experience with that now, the creating
Mhm.
perspective.
Right.
But tell me a little bit about how self-love, like what it means to you and how has it affected your relationship with yourself?
Well, with myself, so self-love, I think, when you go out to do something in the world, like to take action or to try something new,
Yeah.
that's like out of your comfort zone. The biggest thing that can hold you back is that you're going to see yourself as a failure if you fail.
Mm. Uh-huh.
And
Mhm.
maybe we don't actually see that as what is holding you back, but that's kind of the biggest thing that I see is like that you're going to judge yourself
Yeah.
if you don't make it, right? And so you just don't try.
Yeah.
But when you are really grounded in your capacity to love yourself
Mhm.
and to go out and try something and fail or be embarrassed or feel really freaking uncomfortable, doing something new and
Yeah.
scary, like you can always turn back on yourself and be like, I got me. I've got
Yes.
myself. Like
Yes.
no matter what, I know I will not give up on myself because I love myself that much. So it
Mhm.
really helps you to really do anything that you
Yeah.
want to do because you know that you're always going to have your back.
Yeah. That's what I like to say. Am I
Yeah.
going to show up for me?
Yeah.
Right? Like when the thing happens, when it's complete, when I make the video, when I try the
Mhm.
new thing, when I have the phone call, whatever it is, how am
Mhm.
I going to treat myself afterwards?
Yeah.
Right? Because I think, like you said, it's not actually the failure out in the world that's so scary,
Mhm.
right? It's how we're going to
Mhm.
speak to ourselves about it and how we're going to treat ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And that's, can send us down a whole different a whole path, right?
Yeah. Totally.
When we don't respond to ourselves well,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
when we take a risk.
Yeah.
So let's start. I think self love has like all these stages. So let's start with self knowing, right? Like noticing yourself, because that's to
Mhm.
me, right? The practice of knowing yourself is noticing what happens in
Mhm.
you. So how does, and I'm interested in um, since I have a parenting coach here, right? Like, how does this, also apply to us when we're with our children, right? So, how,
Oh, noticing yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
noticing ourselves, right?
Yeah, it's everything. So another thing about parenting, right, is or parenthood is it's like the ultimate stimulus for self-growth.
Ah, yes, write that one
um,
down. Yes.
because your kids are constantly pushing your buttons, right?
Hmm.
And like so you can use that because it's never about what they're doing to you.
Yeah.
It's about um it's about your story or your meaning that you make of what they're doing to you. So that's the first thing to be aware of. And when you know that, then you can see why it's so important to notice what's going on in you for
Yeah.
every response that you have to your child. Because so this is one big one that's like been present for me recently is I'm more introverted, and my family was like, we don't share our emotions very much. So being around a human being who shares their emotions very strongly
Hmm.
is triggering for me.
Yeah.
And so I have a 4-year-old, almost 5, who is like, something happens and it's like the whole world or neighborhood knows because she's like screaming and crying and
Yeah.
like falling to the floor. And so what I need to realize is like I can get angry or annoyed or
Mhm.
frustrated. But what she's doing is totally normal for a
Yeah.
child, right?
Yeah.
They have an
Mhm.
emotion and they let it flow through their body freely and come
Yeah.
out however they're naturally wired to let it come out. And that's healthy.
Hmm.
And they'll process, the wave will come and go. And so my like reaction is like a number of things. It can be thoughts, the physical noticing of like cringing or like eye rolling or like,
Yeah.
gosh, or the thoughts of like, gosh, not again, or we have to go somewhere, she's doing, like these thoughts will come up,
Yeah.
or like, why is she making such a big deal?
Yeah.
So those thoughts are like the stories that we have been given for our own emotional reactions as children.
Right.
And if you think about that, like, they don't sound very loving, right?
Hmm.
Everybody has emotions, and emotions are healthy and natural and okay. It's how we respond to them that can either be shame, disappointment, frustration, or accepting, allowing, loving.
Yeah. And curiosity, right?
Yeah.
That's to me my telltale sign if I'm being loving is if I'm
Mhm.
curious about
Yeah.
what's going on for me, for another person, right? So
Yeah.
I'd like to break it down to body and mind. You mentioned a minute ago, and I was like, yes, that's important, right?
Mhm.
So we have noticing that can happen about what's happening in our bodies,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so I love the example you gave because I think that's not only triggering for you, that's triggering for lots of people.
Yeah.
You didn't invent
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right? So, we have the screaming kid on the floor, and to be aware that they're in their own environment having their own perception of the world and their own reaction to it, and
Mhm.
they're creating their own reality, and
Mhm.
I'm over here being sure to know that I'm over here having my own,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
I'm having the emotions that are coming up from when I cried on the floor when I was 4,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
emotions that came up from my parents' reaction to me,
Yeah.
right? Like we could list all the things that have happened in my life that that situation could remind me of.
Yeah.
And because we've been around so long, right? That all lives in us.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
the beginning of self-love is noticing that,
Mhm.
and noticing what my body feels like. Is my chest tight? Are my
Mhm.
shoulders tight? Is my
Yeah.
jaw tight? What
Yeah.
is it?
Mhm.
Right? And
Yeah.
and and tending from there. But
Yeah.
right, if I don't notice the tightness in my chest, then it's going to come out in my voice.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I would love to connect this back to like a little, I guess you could say this is like biology or science,
Yeah.
because what you said about curiosity, this just triggered this connection.
Yeah.
So if you've heard of polyvagal theory,
Mhm.
it's a theory that kind of it gives you a picture of the states of your nervous system, or how your
Uh-huh.
nervous system is operating. So basically, you can kind of envision like 3 levels here, where like when you are totally regulated in your body and your nervous system is like in a calm, grounded state, that's social engagement. Then the next level is fight or flight.
Uh-huh.
And then the next level is freeze. So like if you try to fight or flee, or you see that it's not possible to fight or flee, then
That's when
you
you
go into
freeze.
freeze. Yeah.
Mhm.
So what's interesting about this and bringing in the body awareness is you have physiological reactions in your body for each of these states, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get these, tension, or like like just
Yeah.
falling to the ground,
Like the
or wanting
4-year-old
to
in
run
me.
away, right? Depending on like whether you go into fight or flight or freeze. So noticing how your body is feeling, and even like your heart rate, and it affects your digestion and all of these.
Yeah.
So that body awareness helps you see like, where am I in my nervous system regulation?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this back to the curiosity.
Uh-huh.
When you are in the socially engaged grounded state,
Yeah.
that's when you have full access to your prefrontal cortex,
Mhm.
which is where you get curiosity, creativity, problem solving. So
Yeah.
like, it's just kind of, I don't know, looking at this in a more physiological way. Like you can,
Well, it gives a diagram of kind of the goal, right?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
If we're going to have a goal about this, we can notice it. That's the first step, right? But we can keep going.
right.
And so I love how you brought it back to like, yes, let's stay in this regulated space. And I
Yeah,
love how it's called social interaction,
social
right? It's like
engagement. Yeah,
social engagement. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, that's such a lovely way to look at how I relate to my child. Like when they're having a tantrum, am I socially engaged? Like, am I for us? You know,
Yeah,
or am I
yeah, yeah.
fighting or flighting or freezing?
Right, right, right.
Right? Like
Yeah.
just those basic categories.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the first noticing. So the second part to notice is our thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're still just on knowing ourselves, right? Before we get to loving ourselves. But if to know our thoughts, what's your experience with that? What helps you know what's going on in your head?
Hmm. I think the best place to start with noticing your thoughts is asking, well, I guess this is kind of body too, but asking like, what am I feeling? What am I
Mhm.
needing? Because like, especially if you're kind of on the beginning of this journey and noticing like what's going on in your body, um, knowing that your emotional reactions
Yeah.
are pretty much always connected with a need that's not being met.
Uh-huh.
So this need is not being met. So if you can ask yourself, like you notice in your body is like, oh, there's some emotion there, there's some
Yeah.
anger, there's some frustration. And then ask yourself, what am I needing?
Right, the self-inquiry. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so we've got like that's the witnessing is first, like, I'm witnessing my body,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not my body, I'm witnessing it or witnessing our thoughts. And then I love how you brought in self-inquiry because then now we're interacting and we're starting to have influence,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's the opening.
yeah, yeah. But like this question is good to like if you're trying to figure out like what you're thinking,
Uh-huh.
like it kind of starts to like, I don't know, direct your noticing of the thoughts maybe,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
because now
Yeah.
you're looking at, okay, what am I thinking I'm not getting right now?
Yeah.
I'm frustrated, my child won't get in the bath, I'm needing cooperation,
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's the curiosity, right?
Yeah.
What are they needing? What am I needing? Right? Or
Mm-hmm.
wanting or craving or missing. Yeah. Beautiful. So we're moving into directing our thoughts to a more loving state. And I've been reading about thoughts lately, and we have up to 60,000 a day. And for most people, they're mostly negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone we both know of called Steve Hardison, he talks about how anything in nature will like decay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once if it's left alone, if we
Mm-hmm.
don't keep it up, our house will get messier, food will rot, whatever, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to him, part of being a master of your mind, right, or creating your world, is participating in the thoughts that you're having, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I hear when you're, having self-inquiry is knowing yourself, but then the next step, right, is responding to that. And
Mm-hmm.
the tone that we use when we talk to ourselves matters, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of thoughts, right, we can insert into our mind when we're having we're still with the toddler tantruming on the floor,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah.
And we can think of the thoughts, right? I'm sure everyone can think of the negative thoughts, right? About ourselves, what kind of mother we're being,
Mm.
right? And what our children, what our child is being by doing
Mm-hmm.
that, right? We come up with all
Mm-hmm.
the stories and reasons why that could be happening and why it's wrong or right, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How they'll be when they grow up. That's a big one. Like,
Oh my gosh, the like long-term implications
yeah.
of this tantrum. what
Yeah.
this means, right?
Yeah.
We're always talking
Yeah.
about what it means. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Creating the story. Yeah. So, what do we do when we find out what we need, right? So we ask ourselves what we need, and when we get the answer, right? Let's loop. How do you see self-love coming into play here?
So, um, I feel like I want to kind of just take a moment to separate yourself from the child,
Yeah. Yeah.
because like it's like in order for you to have a supportive response to your child, first being able to like love yourself in that moment,
Mhm.
helps you then to, like we were talking about tone of voice, right? To come to
Yeah.
them with that supportive tone of voice. So,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
So starting with the
yeah,
the tone that we speak to ourselves with. Yeah.
yeah. So, a lot of times, like in the moment of toddler tantruming, like, and your own or my own reactivity, the moments that I am reacting, like it's so much starts with just acknowledging and validating that you do have an emotion and you do have a need.
Yeah.
So the difficult part is like you may not always get your need met exactly the way you want because you're the parent, right? And
Yeah.
so your choice is to respond supportively to your child. So your need, it's more of like a realization that the strength of the emotion that you're experiencing in that moment is really more connected to the past and when you didn't get that need met in the past.
Mhm.
So like noticing what the need is and then immediately honoring and validating and allowing and
Mm.
getting into that love that like, I feel you, like you're really desiring cooperation. You didn't get very much support from cooperate or, um, what's the word, power to cooperate with your parent, maybe you
Yeah.
were just forced to do something. So in that moment of a tantrum, you may feel like you want to force your child to do something because that's what happened to you. So you can kind of like just honor that you didn't get the opportunity for cooperation or you didn't get the opportunity to even be heard in the
Mhm.
past. And you can just stop and hear yourself right now and validate and acknowledge everything that you're going through.
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling the love. Like,
Yeah, that's the
right?
love. Yeah.
Isn't it such an honor to give ourselves, to kind of reparent ourselves in those moments,
Yeah.
right? When that
Yeah.
stuff comes up again. Like that's what
Yeah.
you're talking about here, right? Is giving ourselves the love, right?
hmm
That we always wished for.
hmm
Always, always.
Yeah.
And maybe didn't believe that we could ever have,
Yeah.
right?
Or maybe didn't even really know was
Know
available like
about.
at that stage in our life. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. So this is like revolutionary, right? This is the healing the old stuff, right? When we healed in
hmm
ourselves in the moment while the child is on the floor tantruming, those are the
hmm
moments, right? Where
hmm
we can use self-love, right, to heal those parts
Yeah.
that hurt in us,
Yeah.
right, so that we don't pass them on to our children.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
So I hear like self-love is the core, right? Of stop for me, that's what's true for me of stopping, right, passing on the generational patterns.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. The self-love is what um well, let's see. I think like what often happens when you could say the trauma, those patterns get passed on is when we react in the heat of our emotions.
Mhm.
So in order to start pausing and letting the emotions, flow up and out before we respond, that's the love. You have to love that you're experiencing this discomfort.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, you can even see it as a biological natural thing that happens.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wanting my child to cooperate, they're not cooperating, I'm getting mad. Okay, just like, this is my body getting mad, and this is the anger flowing through. But yeah, like, the only way it's going to go through you, flow, and to the point where you can regulate and come back to social engagement,
Yeah.
is if you love and honor that it's even there in the first place.
Yeah, I have a thing that I do and that I share with my clients. I put my hand on my heart and I say, everything is okay because I am here,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So
that's nice.
nothing
Yeah,
outside of me has to be any sort of way,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I am okay because I am here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what brings me back to social engage to the capability of socially engaging, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
and then I can be that for my child.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 And then when they see you be that for them, then they're not even going to get the patterns of like hitting or yelling or having like violent behavior in some way. That violence is a strong word, but if you
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
idea, like an unhealthy behavior that goes along with the emotion, they know that they can sit in it too. And then that they're
Yeah.
not going to lose love, they're not going to lose connection, because you're there.
So often the healing is exactly the opposite, I think, of what we, the patterns that we were in before, right? So often I find that my knee-jerk reaction is to stop my child from feeling the pain or the upset, right? It's like,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just
yeah,
stop
yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how I show my love. Just
Right.
make it end really fast,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But that's the pattern, right? That's actually going to keep, telling my kid that whatever they're feeling and whatever they're doing is not okay,
right.
right? Right?
Yeah,
But if
yeah,
I
yeah,
can be everything is okay because I am here and that's all I need,
yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
then be that for my child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the
Yeah,
opposite. It's, that's not going to end the tantrum. I mean, it might after practice end the tantrum faster, right?
yeah. But then
But
if you think
certainly not
about
the
them,
first time. Yeah.
yeah, well, if you think about like what's also happening for them in the tantrum and seeing how you react, is they're now making a meaning of their emotions. So if
Yeah.
you're like, you see their emotion and you're like, oh my gosh, let me do something to stop it,
Something's wrong. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
they see that, oh, there's something wrong with me feeling this way.
Yeah.
I shouldn't feel this way. And then, yeah, like that, they will make some meaning of what their emotions are. And the other
Yeah.
thing is like, another thing that we talk a lot about, like as parent coaches, is being your child's safety, right?
Mhm.
Like the safety, that it's safe for them to feel their emotions.
Yeah.
Because often, like if we go back to like fight, flight, or freeze, your body, when it experiences big emotions,
Yeah.
or any emotions, it's like triggering the danger, like the adrenaline
Yes.
cortisol, it's triggering that
Yes.
something's in danger. So like, what you want to be for your child and for yourself is that I'm safe here to be angry, I'm safe here to feel sadness. And so you doing that for yourself, and doing that through love, like I've called
Yeah.
what is safety, like loving is safety. So
Oh
when
my
you
gosh.
get back to
That's,
love,
yes.
like you're
Love
creating
is safety.
physical
Yeah.
safety in your
Hmm.
body. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a child that throws right now. He just turned 5, so probably similar to your daughter,
Oh
right?
yeah. Mhm.
Um, and he throws stuff, and I think he's getting more and more skilled at using his words, but in
Mhm.
the height of the moment, right? They don't come out a lot.
Mhm.
So he feels really powerful when he throws something, especially
Mhm.
because he knows how upset it makes me, right? I
Mhm.
don't like it at all. He's broken a
Uh-huh.
TV, right? But so we're
Mhm.
working through it. And the thing, I've done all the things, right? When you get to that point where you've like done all the things,
Mhm.
and what I've come to just recently, which it reminded me of what you were saying, is I'll say to him, I just want to be lovey with you. I just want to be lovey with
Mm,
you. I just want to be lovey with you. And I'm just like putting my intention out there, right? And
yeah.
that is the only thing that has ever calmed him down,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And it's like I'm giving him the idea, right? It's like,
Yeah.
when we're in our heightened emotions, like all we can think of is being deep in them and feeling them
Hmm.
and using our body, right, to express them.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that's been helping is me, and it's like my most vulnerable thing,
Uh,
right? Because like
yeah.
I'm mad that he's throwing stuff.
Yeah.
I don't feel good. I want him to stop. Maybe it hurts me sometimes,
Hmm.
but it's like I decided I'm going to be as much loving as he is mad,
Yeah.
or more,
Yeah. Oh, this.
right? Just
Yeah.
like the most. What can I say? What can I do?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This, like, I love this because, like, if I feel like it comes full circle back to like our beginning of like self-love is so like when children have the big emotions and like a lot of the fear that comes along with like any emotional reaction that they have is that they're going to lose connection.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
have their emotions and you're not disconnecting with them, that is the safety. Like
Yeah.
you said, that's the
Yeah.
love. I'm going to be loving with you.
Yeah.
So that way, and it like that connection, right? That is their survival. So they need it. But I can see now, like in saying this, how when they grow up, right?
Yeah.
And now they're trying these new things in the world that are going to create emotions of fear and anxiety and, excitement, whatever, when they
Yeah.
do something new, like if they've had that connection when they're young, like that
Yeah.
they had the big emotions, they didn't lose the connection, then they know that like big emotions don't equal loss of love and loss of connection. So it like builds that self-connectedness, so like
It
they'll.
builds a new pattern. Yes. And the
Mhm.
self-connectedness, exactly. I was having the same thought that
Yeah,
um, if I practice it with them and if we practice it with our children, the goal is for them to be able to practice it with themselves, right?
exactly. Right.
When they're
Right.
an adult, for them to be able to say,
Mhm.
everything's okay because I am here,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And I love how you brought it back around to them doing awesome stuff in the world because I've been thinking like my work about making life epic is based on the idea of creating an epic life for yourself as self-love,
Mm.
right? It's
Yeah.
to me calling yourself to your own greatness,
Mhm.
right? And or calling my children to their greatness or calling my partner to their greatness. To me, that is the most full version of love that I can offer,
Yeah.
right? Like I
Yeah.
see your greatness in you, right? That's what we do as coaches, right?
Mhm.
That's what I feel like I'm doing. And it's the if I can pass one thing to my children, right? It's the emotional intelligence
Mhm.
skills, right,
Yeah.
that they need to be able, right, to fulfill whatever dream they have inside of them.
Yeah.
Because that's what the world's trying to create next, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. When you say that like love, like increasing greatness or having an epic life is love and loving more, loving yourself more, like the word that came to me is like expansiveness. I
Yes,
think
yes.
that love itself is expansive, it's constantly wanting to expand. And so,
It grows to fill the
yeah,
space, right?
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I remember I had my first child and I loved them more than I thought I could ever love anything ever, right? So I expanded, and then another child was coming, and I actually worried when I was pregnant. I remember being very pregnant and feeling like I was cheating on my first child because I thought
Uh,
that I had it was like a love scarcity belief, right? Like
yeah,
there's only
yeah,
so much, you know?
yeah.
And but then out comes the second child, and literally my love doubles.
Yeah.
and more than doubles because now I'm witnessing the love between
Yeah.
their relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just
Mhm.
expands exponentially,
Yep.
right? And
Yeah.
so just like you said that, a belief that people aren't born bad, right? To me, that
Mhm.
goes right in with there is enough love for all of it,
Mhm.
right? Like we all are unlimited sources,
Mhm.
all of us. You
Yeah.
will never run out.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Love is
impossible to run
asking
out.
you to grow it, grow it and grow it.
Yeah, it's saying keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You never, never, never can run out. And
Yeah.
yeah, so let's talk about um how we can support ourselves with self-love as we live epic lives. So epic for me has two, I love like the dual meaning. Like it means like almost impossible, like so amazing, right?
Mhm.
That you can hardly believe it,
Mhm.
right? So that's why I love like the miracles, like do the impossible thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I
But
like
it's
that.
also like an epic journey is one that grows you into your greatness,
Mhm.
right? So if you think about, Hermione Granger, or you can name all the Percy Jackson, right? You think of
Mhm.
all, the stories of uh of beings doing far and beyond what they ever imagined they could do, right? In
Mhm.
service of love, right?
Yeah.
None of the heroines do those epic things for themselves, right? It's always in
Yeah.
service to the world,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
so epic means amazing, but it also means expanding yourself into your greatness in service to the world,
Mhm.
right? Let the world grow you, right? And vice
Yeah.
versa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
but self-love is so core to that, right?
yeah. Yeah. One thing I like to think about is like as a coach or as someone who is serving other people, this paradox of it's not about me,
Yeah.
it's all about me.
Yeah. Because it's always both, right?
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
is always
Because
both. Yeah.
right, like if I want to serve others and help them to love themselves, then I have to know how to love myself.
Yeah.
Like I can't be that for someone else if I haven't done it myself. And so this journey is so much about me being that so that I can, model that and know the possibility and create the possibility for other people to see. So my
Yeah.
self-love, um, and you can even think of it as like, the day-to-day things, like
Yeah. Yeah.
like as a parent, right? Like, what do I need to do to fill my cup
Mhm.
so that when my child is tantruming on the floor, I have the capacity to
Yes.
remain grounded. Or if I do get a little emotional, like to be able to ground myself. When I'm tired, when I didn't sleep well, like that's not, it's really
Yeah.
hard. It's either
Yeah.
not possible or it's
Yes.
really, like I have to walk away. But
Yeah.
when I sleep well, and like lately I've committed to getting up 2 hours before my children wake up so that I'm starting my day like with my cup already full
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that I can give to them. Like that's
Yeah.
probably the best example of how self-love is so important to
Yeah.
serving your children and showing up for
Yes.
them the way you want to be. And it's the same for anyone you serve. Like if your cup is empty, then
Yeah.
then you can't give. And the only way you can fill your cup is by loving yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a huge part of it is the self-awareness of what would make you at your most loving,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
what would make me the most loving? Maybe I get up in the morning and have a cup of coffee, right? Like you could list all the
Hmm.
things. Um, and that I love seeing that as like a vision, right? Like
Hmm.
knowing that whatever is coming up in me is the world creating a vision through me, is creating the next reality,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so many people I find, and myself included, I've had the same experience, having resistance to that vision, right?
Oh
We're like,
yeah.
oh, I have a thing I want. I have a thing I want, but I'm not going to say yes because here's 10 reasons why I shouldn't have it or couldn't have it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's this foundational piece of just saying yes to yourself,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
That is like the core of self-love
Mm. Yeah.
is so there's like the noticing. Yes, I notice
Hmm.
that the dream in me or the place I'm not regulated in myself around this, I accept it and I allow it, right? I'm not trying to change it. And I'm
Hmm.
actually just going to say yes to whatever it is that I need.
Mm. Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
it's a self hug or yes, you can write a book, right? Like it doesn't
Right. Yeah.
matter. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of brings in like the other piece that I've been working on a lot lately is worth. Because like
Right.
when I
Yes.
started working on my own sense of self-worth,
Mhm.
um, like when you talk about like having these ideas, like so I had this idea that I want this particular car, and
Uh-huh.
it just seems like the best idea to buy a brand new one.
Uh-huh.
And I was like really excited, and then talked to some people and had saw the doubts in other people, and then I was like doubting myself. It's like, am I
Right.
worthy enough to like it really came
Ooh, am
down,
I
like
good
when
enough
I
for this
explored
car?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
am
Yeah.
I worthy enough to like buy something that seems so much bigger than maybe I should have, or I don't, like whatever.
Shoulds, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
the
judgment.
shoulds, right? I
Should
don't
is
even want to
judgment. Yeah.
say it, but
Yeah.
yeah, like it comes back to that too. Like when you like think about what can I create, and then you doubt it, it's like, well, you're worth it. Your wants and your needs are worthy, and your dreams are worthy.
Yes. Yes. Because they're here, right? There's no
Yeah,
prerequisites to worthiness,
right,
right?
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I know that you've been working on this topic. So I would love to hear about the workshop that you have coming up. Will you
Oh
tell us all
yeah.
about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So the workshop is on Wednesday, February 9th, at 10 in the morning, Pacific time. So it's called Untangling Unworthiness. So when I started exploring like worth, self-worth, um, I could see how entangled it is with like every aspect of your life, from like asking for help in relationships, asking for help in your business, um, receiving gifts. Like so many people have difficulty receiving compliments or even receiving gifts, like the typical saying, oh, you shouldn't have.
Right,
Like
right, right. You
that's a
shouldn't have because I'm not worthy.
reflection,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that's like diminishing your worth. So and then also receiving the house or the car that you want, or the income that you desire, it's all connected to your sense of self-worth. And so when you have beliefs in your subconscious or even in your conscious that are limiting your connection to your worth or your embodiment of your worth, then it
Yeah.
limits your ability to create what you want. So
Yeah.
that's what this workshop is all about, is like exploring what are your limiting beliefs related to your self-worth. And
Mhm.
then we'll go through together how you can release those beliefs. We'll go in depth on the process of releasing the beliefs, so that at the end you'll have done it for worth, but then you can take the same steps and do it for anything in your life. So it's a really,
Yeah.
really powerful workshop.
Yeah. Amazing. You do such amazing work. Everything that you put out has
Yeah.
so much beauty and depth to it. So much, so much. I'm so glad that you are in the world doing what you do.
Thank you. I feel the same about you. You inspire me every day with your posts, and just, yeah, I love this epic. It's just, I think about it too. It's like, ooh, how could I go bigger?
Right. Oh my gosh. There's always nothing is, let me start that over. Epic living isn't about every moment feeling epic, right? But it's
Mhm.
about knowing that epic is available in any moment,
Yeah.
right?
Mm,
So in
yeah.
any moment, like I ask myself, in the middle of the tantrum, when my son's throwing, whatever, right? Whatever situation that we're in, we all get down. We all get
Mm,
frustrated. We all feel like things are impossible, right? And that's
mhm,
the exact moment that I want to ask myself, and that I hope everybody asks themselves, what would be epic, right?
mm,
Because
yeah.
just surviving, right, is a pattern, is a state of mind, right?
Yeah,
That we
yeah,
all
yeah,
live in sometimes,
yeah.
right? Just getting through, just making it. I
Mm.
mean, thank goodness for just making it, right? For making it.
Right.
But if we dare to ask what would be epic, right? Then maybe we can
Yeah,
do a little bit better even, right?
yeah,
Maybe we
yeah,
can actually go first in creating the world that we want to live in,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Yeah, I love it because it like when I think of survival mode, I think like that's our human body's natural way of living.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
when you think epic, it's like, how can you tap into that universal energy or that universal
Mhm.
intelligence, which to me is love, and
Yes, me too.
like,
That's what I call it. Yeah.
let it create in you something epic.
That's what I feel when I ask that question. It's in a spirit of like, put me to work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, what do you need? What do you need this mouth to do? What do you need this body to do?
yeah,
Right? What does love say?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And right, that always it always starts the core is always loving myself first.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Creating
And what an
yourself into
honor.
that vessel.
Yes,
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 an
yes,
honor.
yes.
Yeah, it's a great
Well,
honor.
well, it's been such an honor to speak with you.
Likewise.
Mhm. Yeah,
Me
thank you
too.
so much. Send me the links to your workshop. I'll put it in the description. And where else can people find you if they want to find your
I am on Facebook and Instagram at kim.auker, Auker, and I'm sure Heather will put the link to that too. And yeah, and then I have a Facebook group. So if you are a coach who is serving families or parents or children in any way, then the group is called Conscious Magnificence in Parenting and Coaching. So it's a great place for you to be so you can really figure out how to be magnificent and create magnificence and create a business from love, from your heart.
Well, thank you so much, Kim.
Yeah,
Always a
thank
pleasure.
you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.